Hello again. Welcome to Alex's ESL World. Today I'm going to talk to you about modals. I'm going to have to make a few videos about modals because there are quite a few of them, and I want to be sure that you understand them well. Today's lesson is about necessity and prohibition, and also about obligation and expectation. Before we get started with modals, I want to be sure that you know this vocabulary. So, what is a necessity? It's when something is required or needed. It's necessary. It's like water and air. Those are necessities of life. We have to have them in order to live. A prohibition is kind of the opposite. These are things that are not allowed. For example, in California and some other places, smoking is prohibited in public buildings. There is a prohibition against smoking in public buildings. You must not smoke in a restaurant, for example. To express these things, we use modals must and have to. Let's have a look at the rules. First, let's look at necessity and prohibition. We use must and have to show that something is necessary. Some examples are: Joshua must pass algebra before he can take geometry. And Maxwell has to do his homework before he can go out to play. Now, I must tell you that have to is not actually a modal, even though it acts like one. The thing that makes it not a modal is that modals don't change. Remember will? When we made verbs into future tenses, we added will, but will never changed. It was will whether we were talking about singular or plural. It didn't even change when we used third person singular. So true modals, like will, don't change. But when we use have to, we have to conjugate have. Just like in the sentence, Maxwell has to do his homework before he can go out to play. Here's some more examples of have to. Jesus has to get to work by 8:45 every morning. You have to study a lot to become fluent in English. We had to wait for 30 minutes to see the dentist. And they will have to find a ride to the concert. Next, modals are often used with rules, laws, and commands. But we don't use must with questions. This is something that the British probably do, and some Americans used to do, but we just don't do it anymore in everyday speech. You might see someone in a movie saying, "Must you do that?" But that sounds like something an aristocratic British person would say. That's my American opinion. Have to is used to express necessity in most other situations. Have to is much more common than must. Here's some examples. Drivers must follow the rules of the road. And to get a degree, you must study many subjects and maintain at least a C average. Using have to, I have to finish my report today. Do we have to turn in our homework today? And do you have to go home so soon? When we use must not, it means something is prohibited, not allowed. For example, students must not enter the classroom before the bell rings. And when traveling, you must not carry large bottles of liquid in your carry-on luggage. When we use not have to, it means it's not required. For example, I don't have to go to work today. It's a holiday. And Liz didn't have to bring her boss a present for his birthday, but she's a very nice person and she did. Finally, have got to is also used to talk about necessity, but this is less formal than have to or must. It's only used in the affirmative, so there's no negative, have not got to, and there's no question with have got to. It just doesn't make any sense. We can say, I've got to work harder on my sales, if I'm a salesperson. But we can't say, have you got to work harder? Or, Mauricio doesn't have got to come today. These are just not done. Okay, so that's modals of necessity and prohibition. Now let's have a look at obligation and expectation. These are the modals that use be supposed to or be supposed to be. You'll see. Be supposed to is not exactly a modal, but it acts like one. It's a modal-like expression that talks about an obligation because of an expectation, rules, laws, or just people's requests for something. For example, you're supposed to study hard in university. Or, our plane was supposed to land at 6:30, but it's running late. Finally, I was supposed to bring a dessert to the potluck, but I brought a salad instead. You know what a potluck is, don't you? It's very common in the U.S. People come together for a meal, and everyone who comes is supposed to bring some kind of food to share. Potlucks in ESL classes are the best. We get to try a little bit of foods from different countries. Okay, let's get back to grammar and look at be supposed to or be supposed to be, which sounds pretty weird to say it outside of a sentence. It means that we're talking about an expectation based on a schedule, plan, or someone's opinion about something. Here's an example. You're late. You were supposed to be here at noon. You know that were is past tense be, so we have be plus supposed to plus another be. You were supposed to be. An example without that last be, we're supposed to board our plane a half hour before departure. The first sentence is about someone not being somewhere where they're expected to be. The second one is about a schedule that isn't being followed very well. Finally, one that deals with a person's opinion is the leader is supposed to be a trusted member of the club. If we're talking about something in the past, we need was and were. The meaning is that the action or event was expected, but it didn't happen. For example, I was supposed to drive my sister to the airport, but my car broke down. Doesn't that make you feel sorry for my poor sister? Here's another one. Leah was supposed to be the one to lead the conference, but she wasn't able to be here. And that's the end of this lesson. In the next lesson, I'll talk more about modals. This time, I'll talk about modals of ability in the past, present, and future. Thanks for dropping by, and thanks for the suggestions you've made for me. Have a wonderful day. Remember to be kind to each other, and I'll see you next time.